Host Anthony Harcher, a clinical nutritionist and lifestyle medicine specialist, and with a major in behavioral science, which is also understanding human behavior. So, I would really love to share to you some information I've been looking into, and that is around impulsive decision making, making decisions impulsive with impulsivity, and how to avoid that, because it's our impulsivity that really drives poor decision making, because we're often blinded by the downside and that hits us in time. So I just wanted to share this in context with how television works. So television will share a whole lot of emotional, whether it be drama or it be news, bad news, and it generates emotion within you. And then they go to an ad break. And so the ad break, you're fueled with emotion and you're wanting to discharge that emotion and make yourself feel better. And the ads look more appealing, and hence you're more likely to buy. And so what we want to do is really control our emotions. And it's the same as when we're getting a sales pitch done to us and they're selling us the dream, the fantasy, and we're thinking, oh, this would be amazing. I'd love this. And again, we're not allowing enough time to reflect and make a informed decision, because we are fueled by the fantasy and we are quite impulsive in that moment and wanting to have it. We desire it because it's so compelling. It's just got upside, but however, we're blinded to the downside. So what's happening within our brain, in essence, when we're impulsive, we're in our survival part of the brain, which is a desire to seek pleasure, desire to seek prey, or the desire to avoid pain, or desire to get away from the predator. And so this animal part of the brain is very black and white. It is all or nothing. And we want the prey in order to survive, or we want to get away from the predator in order to survive. In today's modern context, we desire the pleasure because it brings us some sort of relief or some sort of euphoria, or we desire the ability to avoid the pain, to get away, to escape the pain so we don't have to deal with hardship or difficulty. However, if we make decisions in this part of the brain, we are making a lopsided decision, because we just see a one-sided reality. We see, in the case of prey, it's all upside, there's no downside. And in the case of the predator or the pain, there's all downside and no upside. However, in actual fact, when we get into a higher level part of the brain, we can see that there's both sides in both scenarios, and we can make a more informed decision as opposed to an impulsive decision. So in relation to television, what you're feeling is obviously the bad news. So the bad news drives all this emotion within you, and it's all terrible, it's all bad, all negative, and that's all you're feeling. And so you're feeling terrible, within yourself, based on your reflective neurons, and you sort of can empathize or sympathize for these perceived or so-called victims of whatever's happened to them. And then you're thinking, I'm feeling terrible about myself, I want to feel good about myself. And so then you swing to wanting to go straight to pleasure. Okay. And that will often be to buy something on the commercial, or to get up off the couch and go and eat something. And so this can result in overeating, eating the wrong types of food. So for example, if you're watching television and you're eating, then you're going to eat more in order to make yourself feel better if you're watching something that is terrible, right? So if we want to avoid this overeating on the couch, then we're best to watch shows that aren't going to drive huge amounts of emotion. Or if we're watching emotional shows, we want to find other ways to relieve that emotion, as opposed to that bag of chips or the packet of biscuits or something that's probably not so helpful in order for you to achieve your health goal. So how do we calm down the emotion? And what often is required is a pause. We need to stop. So when the salesman is, or the saleswoman is pitching to you and selling the fantasy, selling the dream, you want to allow time to process your uh, what's being pitched to you and look at it thoroughly and look at the downside, not just the upside. And obviously, the salesperson doesn't want to allow you time because they realize that over time you're going to see it more objectively and you're less likely, your probability of buying is reduced over time, and hence why they put pressure on you and say that it's a sale that's only available to 5 p.m., right? So you can always call the bluff. If you then miss the deadline, I always suggest you do miss the deadline. Ultimately, you'll still get that sale. However, you're making the decision more objectively. So don't worry about the deadlines. They always are extended, and they always give you, some sort of extension or privilege. Uh, so you don't need to make the deadlines. They are just arbitrary to force you to make a decision, so that you make an impulsive decision without thinking about it rationally. So allow yourself time to make decisions, because in time, that reflection will enable you to access more neural pathways, and you'll be able to see the downside as well as the upside. And therefore, you see both sides and you can make a more objective decision and not an emotive decision. And so you'll make far better decisions by allowing the pause. Not so if you're starting to feel jubilant and, oh, this is too good to be true. Yes, it is too good to be true. So don't make the decision when it feels like it's too good to be true. Allow yourself some time to reflect on the decision making. Allow yourself the ability or chance to miss the deadline, and realize that, yes, these offers always are extended. I know that, from my buying experience, that you often go back to them and say, yes, I'm keen on the sale, I'm keen on the product. However, I'll only buy it at that sale price. And they go, oh, yeah, we can do that. Of course they can do it. If they've offered it once, they can offer it twice. So don't be forced into making a quick decision. A slow decision is often a better one, because you have allowed time to see the downside, to weigh up more variables, and to see more possibilities, and to make a more informed, objective decision. So always pause before making the decision, allow some time to reflect on it, and weigh up the pros and cons. By weighing up the pros and cons, you make a more informed decision. If you just see that it's all cons, it's all downside, then obviously you're emotive. You've got some sort of, it reminds you of some pain of the past or some bad decision of the past, or you are just blinded to the upside. And so it's the same thing about the something else. There's something you just see as painful. There's always some upside to it. You just need to look for it and allow yourself some reflection time to find the upside in what you're perceiving is just painful. So it works both ways, and it's just a matter of allowing some time to reflect and process all the variables and all the information you have at hand, and maybe do your own investigation and research to make a more informed and less impulsive and a better decision. So that's how you can become a better decision maker, is not be drawn into the emotional decision making. We make our poorest decisions when we're emotional. And as Warren Buffett often says, is that in order to manage your money, you need to manage your emotions. And so that's the same with buying anything or investing in anything or making a decision, is make sure your emotions are calmed down. So if before making that decision, do something that calms your emotions. It could be going for a run, doing some exercise. It could be doing a meditation. It could be jumping in an ice bath. It could be getting in a sauna. Whatever calms your emotions, do that, and allow some time to reflect on the decision you're about to make. And you will make a much better decision, because you'll be more aware of the potential downside, and you'll either work out ways around or ways to mitigate that downside. And you won't be realizing the downside after you've brought it, and then you think, oh, the downside's outweighing the upside for me, or I'm wearing a bit more pain than what I thought. And so Don't make emotional decisions. Allow yourself some time. Don't buy into the deadlines. And yeah, just calm your emotions. So that's what I wanted to share on this episode of Me and My Health Up. For more episodes, tune in each week. There's an episode dropping each week. I'm doing live streaming of episodes, and so you can either catch it live or catch the recording on all the major platforms and enjoy it. Please leave some comments below as to what you'd like to hear more about, and I'll be happy to share some education and some insight into those areas that you're interested in. So thanks for tuning in, and until next time, continue to health up.